Samach Vav. Good morning. Today is the 14th day of first Adar, known as Purim Katan, the little Purim, or the minor Purim. It's also the 23rd of February. And we're continuing with Machatzit HaShekel. We're on page Samach Vav. Samach Vav Aleph. We talked last time about a blemish in the eyes. That if there's a certain blemish in the eyes known as a dakin, then that is considered to be a blemish for a Jew, meaning that he can't bring an animal that has that type of blemish as a sacrifice. But it's not considered that way for a non-Jew. And it says, what's the reason for this? So in the fourth line, because this blemish, what it causes is an inability to see. Like Bilam, who was blind in one eye. So that's how it is by a non-Jew, that it causes him to be completely blind to something. What's he blind to? So we talked about it before. He's blind to God sustaining the world at every moment, creation at every moment. But by a Jew, אבל בישראל נאמר, וכל בני ישראל רואים, that all the Jews see. It's a part of a quote from Chronicles. But what it gets to is that we see, what do we see? We see the divine revelation all the time. Where do we see it? So obviously we don't see it in the eye, we see it in the mind's eye, but we see it. בכל הנ"ל שמתברר הדק שבדקות אינו אלא דווקא אחרי שירד לעמקות ההתבוננות. So when is it? What? Yeah, but he doesn't, because there it says V'chol ha'am roim, and here it says V'chol b'nei Yisrael, and he doesn't want to say Am because we know that Am in the Zohar is always the Erev Rav. So he uses a pasuk from Chronicles. I don't remember what it is about there. That says b'nei Yisrael roim, and all this that you can see and that it's a blemish for you even is only when דווקא אחרי שירד לעמקות ההתבוננות וגם בהתלהבות התפילה כדוגמת הקורבן הנ"ל. So this is only relevant, this type of blemish, this light blemish in the eye, which impairs a little bit of the vision, but the animal can still see, but it's for a Jew it's already a blemish that invalidates the sacrifice, the animal for a sacrifice. So that is only true, again, in the spiritual realm where we're using this, after a person has dedicated themselves to the depth of meditation on a Torah concept. Then you can say that this is a blemish for him, because it lessens his ability to grasp godliness through what he was concentrating on, what he was meditating on. And this is also true, b'itlahavut tefillah. It's also true after a person is, or not after, but while a person is in the middle engaging in prayer. Because there we have the fire of the prayer. That's what we describe this as. And that's like putting on a sacrifice. So in that situation, if there's something that is impairing your vision, it's like putting yourself as a blemished sacrifice on the altar. But before a person starts davening, before he starts meditating, before he starts all this, his dross, as we called it, is mixed into him in such a way that he can't even see it. It's not even recognizable. It's not separate. Here he says zach beinav, could be zach. I remember it being yashar beinav. But in any case, what it's saying is in Proverbs that everything that a person does seems fine to them. Before you contemplate your state, everything, you seem fine to yourself. Right? Before a person starts doing some kind of cheshbon nefesh, and here it's not even a cheshbon nefesh, he's not even criticizing himself. He's just unobserved. He's not aware of himself. So when the unobserved, the unthought life is very fine. It's all good. He doesn't feel that there's anything wrong with him. Obviously, he knows exactly what's being done wrong to him. That he knows from the outside. But on the inside, is there anything that's wrong with me? I've never seen anything like that. I'm fine. Everything I do, everything that a person sees is pure in his eyes. Everything, that's what the proverb says. Everything that I have, kol darchei ish, all my paths, all my actions, everything is pure in my eyes. Shenidme lo ahar kechut ha'se'ara. And even a terrible blemish that he has will seem to him like a hair's breadth. It's like nothing. What's the big deal? This doesn't mean anything. He doesn't think about it. He can't contemplate it. That's called the uncontemplated life. So the philosophers, when they said an uncontemplated life, they usually meant I'm not contemplating the world around me. Because when it comes to the world around me, I should see what's going on. But when it comes to myself, uncontemplated is actually good. We also say it's good not to think of yourself, but you have to have some inkling of where you're standing. You don't have to think about yourself all day long. And by the way, here's one of the things I didn't realize until last week, which is scary. I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know it. I didn't understand it. Sometimes you have to hear it a certain way to get it. We always say that when you're davening to Hashem to help you with something that's wrong with you, you shouldn't be davening about yourself. You should be davening about the Shekhinah. That's one of the big changes that happened since the advent of Chasidus. The Baal Shem Tov spoke about this a lot, that if you want to change, if you want Hashem to help you change, don't pray for yourself. Who should you be praying for? You should be praying for Hashem. What does that mean? How can I be praying for Hashem? What, Hashem needs me to help him? He's sick? He says yes. Because you have a divine soul in you, which is part of God. It's a representative of the Shekhinah in you. And you're carrying it down into the dregs of reality, into the sewers. So who should you be praying for? He says, if you pray for yourself, you're still self-centered. There's nothing going on there. But if you pray for Hashem, so that's a classic thing. And I've known that for, dozens of years. But it didn't hit me until last week that it's not a prayer for myself. I always saw it as, how do I pray for myself? By praying, it's a tactic. It's not a strategy. That's how I saw it. A tactic is like, it's a hack. It's like something you do to make it work. Because Hashem doesn't like it when you pray about yourself. Okay, so pray about the Shekhinah. It sounds like a trick or something like that. So I realized, I read it somewhere, and I realized, wait a minute, this is not what's meant. It's meant that I should really say to Hashem, save yourself, meaning save the part of you that's in me. And I'm not saying take it out of me. That's not what I mean. But I mean, do you really can you really tolerate sitting where I sit, where in my sins and my problems? So it's for you.
So when one is depressed down, it's actually, in a sense, bringing Hashem down.
Right, exactly. So save yourself from this terrible state of depression. It's a very enlightening thought.
Very enlightening.
Because, again, we're talking about Hashem's imminent aspect. We're not talking about his transcendent. Transcendent, he's not there. But b'chol tzaratam lo tzar, in all their pain, he takes part. Means that he has a part that's here, and it's suffering. So that's what I should be praying. Again, I don't know if I'm capturing the shift that happened in me properly in words. I don't know if it's exact enough. But it was something I understood. This is not a tactic for how to get what I want. This is really what I should be praying for. Anyway, so he sees everything as good with him. And he doesn't feel any of the evil inside of him, none of the dross, like we said in the case of the silver being purified. אבל כשמתלהב ביותר, יותר ירגיש אפילו הקל שבקלות כהר גבוה. But the more a person has excitement, meaning the more he's closer to the altar as it were, that he's being placed on the fire, he has excitement in him, then he'll feel more and more the negative inside of him. And there's a beautiful mashal for this. I was teaching chapter 16 in the Tanya last night, and chapter 16 is a very interesting chapter. He uses a language that he only uses 3 times in the Tanya, a great principle, and he brings 2 great principles in chapter 16. What are these great principles? The first one is that a regular person should be acting in such a way that his thinking should be affecting him physically. It's called hidgalut libo, the revelation of his heart. In other words, if I'm thinking of the love of God and my heart rate doesn't go up and my blood pressure doesn't change, then that doesn't do anything for your heart. It's like the difference between somebody sitting and watching a football game and saying, I'm doing sports. No, to do sports, you have to get out there and you have to get your heart rate up. That's how it works. You can't sit and imagine it and say, okay, that's for your mind. That's very nice. By the way, there are things like that today for professional athletes that they imagine how they're doing the actions, but that's in order to train the mind. But when you're talking about something shifting, the heart has to shift. When you first got married, so your heart was jumping up and down all the time. You had butterflies in your stomach. You're excited. So he says, if your contemplation does not lead to that, it's not changing anything in your heart. You're not getting better. You're not becoming healthier. But we know that all our contemplation doesn't do anything. So he says that's a great principle. The great principle is it's supposed to affect your heart. If it's affecting your heart, and you have love and fear of God, and it's affecting your heart, then that is a change in your heart. That you are changing. You are becoming something else. But we know that most of us, if not all of us, after a certain period in our life, that's it. We don't get excited about anything. The heart. If you're looking at the first what's it called, derivative, the heart's going up and down. Like you've got a pulse. You look at the second derivative, which is like acceleration. You're flatlined. Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. You want to stop?
I want to tell the story about the Rebbe.
Wait, I didn't finish. Okay.
Before we finish, 1 second.
So what does he say? He says, so what do? People try to excite themselves. So you'll see people in davening, they'll start clapping and jumping up and down. He says, that's not needed. It's chitzoni. It doesn't do anything. Because you're making the heart run, you're feeling it, it's going. From something external, it's got nothing to do with your love and fear. Absolutely nothing to do with it. So he says, you don't need to jump up and down. You don't need to play all kinds of games. You don't need it. He says, even if your love and fear of God caused you to now go to shul instead of to stay in bed, that's considered already to be some form of action that came out of your contemplation. And since there's some form of action that came out of it, even though it's not directly related to love and fear, you didn't feel any love and fear, you didn't feel any of that, but you went. You skipped over the heart. You skipped over the excitement of the heart. Then we have a special saying from the sages, says that machshava tova, kadosh baruch hu mitzarfa lemaaseh. That when there's a good thought, he says, what's a good thought? A good thought, it's not a thought that's going to cause my heart to jump. It's nothing like that. But it's a good thought. I thought I should go to shul. I thought I should go daven. He says, then even though you're removed from action, because your thought never became any kind of action in your heart, God connects it to action. He makes it like that. To what degree? So then he tells you at the end of the chapter, it's only a small variation, but he makes it more active than it was before. Same thing is here. If during davening you're not jumping up and down because of yourself, then you're not hot, the dross doesn't come out. So what comes out of this is, if you're never excited, you never know that you have something wrong with you. It's only when the fact that I'm not getting excited, that's my problem. So what is it about seeing?
Somebody came to the Rebbe to tell him that unfortunately he couldn't see properly and he was in danger of losing his eyesight. Chas v'sholem. So the Rebbe told him there's a segura. You take your talis in the morning and you count the tzitzis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 times 32. So he came back to the Rebbe after a month and he said it didn't work. My eyesight's just as bad. So the Rebbe said it's impossible. If you did it properly, then for sure your eyes will get better. He said what you were doing was you were taking the tzitzis and going 2, 4, 6, 8, because to make it quicker, you've got to count them all one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Baruch Hashem, his eyes got better. So,
and the question is, do you count to 8 4 times?
Yes.
Or do you count to 32?
Count 8 4 times.
How do you know?
Because it's obvious.
No, it's not obvious.
So you're taking each side,
Okay.
right, to make sure that it's
Okay,
right.
could be.
And not everybody can count to 32. So
Yeah, it's a big number. Okay.